Okay, welcome to day one, lesson one. Today we're going to talk about genres of books. If you haven't already done so, you have a reading notebook assignment for each day, so make sure that you're caught up on that. If you are virtual, I have included videos, so all you have to do is click the video and answer the questions. So today we're going to start with different books, and so I'm going to introduce some books to you, introduce some genres to you, and then on Buzz there is a read it, a watch it, a assess it, some practice to it, and so that's your lesson for today. And it is actually Tuesday, but I'm recording this for Wednesday. And so the first graphic novel, actually sorry, hold on. If you are not following my slides, please make sure to go to slide 36 of my slides. So it looks like this. I have uploaded them along with the syllabus to the Google Classroom, and I have embedded the Google Classroom link into your Buzz, so everyone should have access to it. If you are not enrolled in my Google Classroom, I went and added you, so you're welcome. First thing I'm going to talk to you guys about is a graphic novel. So graphic novels you may have heard of, like Dork Diaries or Diary of a Wimpy Kid. However, I believe graphic novels can also be for older kids as well. And so going into graphic novels, I'm going to tell you about one of my favorite graphic novels. It is the March series. It is written by John Lewis, who recently passed away. And it's about his time during the Civil Rights Movement. And if you don't know much about the Civil Rights Movement, it is intense. There's a lot to consider. There's a lot to know about. But this does it in a kind of an easy to read way. So it's kind of like a comic, kind of like whatever. But it tells you the story of John Lewis and when he was a kid. And the first one's okay. The third one is my absolute favorite. There's just so much that I didn't know about the Civil Rights Movement, and it's a great way for you to learn history while being entertained because these pictures are really great. It's done really well. So graphic novels are done in a form where you see the story as well as reading the story. And so on my slides, I've included not only the March series, but two other ones, This One Summer and Hey Kiddo. I really like Hey Kiddo because it's about a kid who's just dealing with alcoholism. The next topic we're going to talk about is memoirs. Memoirs are stories that it's somebody's personal story and it's something that they learned. So some of the examples that I have on here are Hey Kiddo, which is a memoir. It's a true story. It's a graphic novel, but it's also a memoir. So one thing to consider is that genres do not have to be one genre. Like a book can fall into multiple genres. It can be a graphic novel and it can be a memoir. It could be a memoir and it could be a mystery. Different things. Okay, so they can be in different categories, but just aspects of it, which one's the most. So on here I've listed books like I Am Malala. A lot of you have read that before, about the girl who got shot for speaking up for wanting to go to school. Positive, which is about a girl who was born with HIV. And then my last one I'm going to talk to you guys about is How Dare the Sun Rise. This cover is amazing. This cover is the reason I picked up this book. This is about a girl who survives a war, and it's all about her life and how she eventually makes it to the United States. And it's a really good, inspiring story that'll make you you'll just love it if you like memoirs. Okay, the next one is mysteries. I love mysteries. So mysteries are stories that puzzle you. A book that puzzles you. It makes you want more. Like, what happened? What did this? Monday's Not Coming is a really good mystery. And the mystery itself is about a girl who is looking for her friend Monday. And so Monday just doesn't come to school. And Claudia's like, where's Monday? She's my best friend. Normally in the summer, they don't really see much of each other because Claudia goes and spends time away from their town. And she starts realizing that her mom's covering up her missing. Nobody's noticed that Monday's missing. And so she's trying to discover what happened to Monday. In order for you to figure it out, you gotta read Monday's Not Coming. So those are books that puzzle you. Mysteries are books that puzzle you. I also have three other ones on the slides if you want to go see them. Popular fiction are drama, real life stories. So a lot of the books that you've read, like If I Grow Up, is a drama. It's a fiction story. They're not true, but they could be true potentially, right? And so a lot of books are like that. African American studies. So if you are in my classroom, you know that I love to read books by African Americans. I am a white person that teaches in a school with African American students, and I think that it's important that I read books that represent the kids that are in my classroom. So these are books like On the Come Up, The Hate You Give, Dear Martin, or Long Way Down. So I'm going to talk to you about Long Way Down. Long Way Down is not only African American, but it is also written in verse form. So Long Way Down is about a guy who's trying to decide, should he seek revenge for his brother's murder or not? And so somebody shot his brother, and he knows the street rules. No crying, no snitching, and you always get revenge. Well, that's easy to say, but should you really follow the rules? Gotta read it and find out. So African American books are about books written by African Americans for African Americans about things that happen in the Black community, okay? Drama books are books, any type of book that has like some type of like realistic fiction of drama. So I consider realistic or the popular fiction and drama to really be the same. I have way too many books that I call drama in my collection, but they're just like realistic fiction. Okay, sports books. Sports books are books that are written by people who play or for people who play sports or involve sports heavily. So the books that I have on the slide are Jim Candy, which is about a guy who is trying to decide if he should use steroids or not. I have Last Man Out. So any book by Mike Lupica is going to be a sports book. True Legend is one of his more famous ones. The Running Dream's on here, and Ghost is on here. If you haven't read Ghost, it's about a kid who runs, and it's really good. Okay. Verse books are poetry. So I love poetry books. If you are somebody who hasn't been reading in a long time, a verse book is a great way to start because you can get a book done over with. I like it because my life's busy and crazy, and it's just easy to like get them done. So verse books are written in a poetic form. They don't have to rhyme necessarily, but they are written in stanzas, which are like the little mini paragraphs that it doesn't go all the way through. So a famous book I read this summer that's a poetry book is Clap When You Land. Also, verse books don't have to be quote unquote girly. House Arrest is a really good verse book, and it's about a kid who's stuck on house arrest, and it's not a very girly book at all. Any book by Sonia Sones is going to typically be a verse book. I don't know if she's released any books that aren't verse books, but she writes really good like drama verse books. Next category. Fantasy. So fantasy is a place where there's like any type of imaginary elements. So magic. So fantasy starts where it's like fantasy and like it starts meshing together, like sci-fi, mesh, dystopian. It all kinds of mixes together. So sometimes a book can just fall somewhere into that realm. On my slide, I have Shatter Me, which is a series about a girl who, when she touches people, they die. And so she has like this weird power and she doesn't know how to control it. But it's also a dystopian world because things are not as they're supposed to seem. Okay. Speaking of dystopian, we're going on to the difference between fairy tales and fables. So fairy tales are short stories that involve fantasy-like elements like gnomes, fairies, witches, and they use powers for good or bad. They involve people. That's the key. Fairy tales involve people. So, Cinderella, fairy tale. Snow White, fairy tale. The Princess and the Frog. Okay, I should be clear. The Princess and the Frog technically is a fable. However, because it has mainly people, it's not a fable. It's a fairy tale. A fable includes only animals. So, like the tortoise and the hare, where like the turtle makes it faster than the hare. Or any type of story that only involves animals is going to be a fable. Okay? Fairy tales, people, fable, not people. Okay. Dystopian is a community where like the world has like all changed. So I have lots of different options for dystopian. One example is Delirium. I haven't read this, but Miss Ginn just read it. This is a book where love has been outlawed and the girl falls into this delirium, which means like she's boy crazy. And because she's boy crazy, they're gonna like lock her up because until she's like of age, she can't love. And so it's just like a crazy world. There's some other books on here. Legends, one of them, Maze Runner, The Raven Boys. Those are all like dystopian style books. Okay. Science fiction is where they have futuristic concepts. So you have like The Hunger Games, you have Cinder, you have a lot of books that are, they test what is currently known as science. Okay, and then you have classic books. So one classic book that we are going to read this year is The Outsiders. If you're at home, you're welcome to join us. There are clips on YouTube. So you don't have to have it. I also have a PDF uploaded, so you do not have to have the physical book in front of you. And classic books can have an element of good with them as well, because sometimes it's good to see things like the way that the world used to be. And sometimes these books have been around for a long time for a reason. People want to keep reading them for a reason. Okay, some other books. Horror, which is any type of book that causes fear. These are not my favorite type of books, but you guys can like them. So Anna Dressed in Blood is a horror book. Asylum is a horror book. Any book that causes like super fear is a horror book. Historical fiction is any type of book that involves a historical event seen through the eyes of fiction. So one is Project 1065, Alan Gratz. Alan Gratz writes a lot of historical fictions, typically about World War II. This is a book about a guy who is an Irish kid who is trying to infiltrate the Nazis, and so he becomes like a Nazi spy. And you have to read it to see what happens. Some other books I have on there are Salt to the Sea, Dreamland Burning, and then a bunch of Alan Gratz books. I highly recommend Dreamland Burning if you like historical fiction. It's actually set in Tulsa, and it's a mystery as well. Somebody is dead in her house, and she's trying to figure out like who killed this guy, who is this guy, but it's set during the race riots. And if you don't know anything about the race riots, like it's really good. Okay, and so today what your assignment is you're going to choose 3 of these genres. Choose 3 of these genres and give 3 examples. So if you like verse, you could say I like the opposite of innocent, and you're going to explain, or actually you don't even have to explain. You're just going to give me 3 genres and find 3 books of it. So, verse, opposite of innocent. I've given you all the answers. Now you just got to add it into Buzz. And remember to get your 1-pager, so your first page done by midnight tonight. It has to be uploaded to Flipgram. You are just, on that video, you're just explaining like who you are and why you included the items that you did. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to call me or email me or find some way of contacting me, okay? Hope you have a great day. Bye.